Welcome aboard, everybody. This is a Civil 3D presentation, and I'm just going to minimize my control panel here, go to meetings so I can see the whole screen. Alrighty, so what you're looking at is a mind map of the topics that we're going to cover today. I started off, and this is Civil 3D 2017 with the FDOT State Kit. Going to do a design profile today, well actually surface profiles too. So I've set up the DSPF RD file, and what I want to do is just take you through what I had done to get that prepared for our exercise, and then we'll whip through some surface profiles to see what we have for existing conditions with terrain models. Then we're going to go through the design process of creating a design PGL. Then we'll whip through some labels after that, and you'll get to see all the cool stuff that we can do with labeling. Alrighty, so let's see. Let me just, the DSPF-RD is going to be made up of data references and external references. So you can see that what I have here is the alignment in the surface. That's the data references using data shortcuts. The DSGNRD file, we're going to use that as a backdrop, and that'll be an external reference. And then I configure the viewports so that we have it chopped up into like a planar profile type of view. So I configure the viewports, just dividing the view. Then what I want to do is just go through the process of sampling some surfaces. So let's review the data that I have. Okay, on the prospector, if you go to surfaces, then you see there's an existing ground surface and a final surface. This final surface, we're going to treat that as an as-built. So we're going to look at this project like it's already been created, and what we need to do is come back and make design profiles right at the lane lines on the interior where the edge of the median is. So this has a median with turn lanes. You can see from the DSGNRD file loaded as an XREF in the background. You've got a left turn lane here, and a little bit further down there's a left turn lane here at the intersection. So now just to give you an idea on dimensions, so the alignment goes right through the center, and then I did some dimensions to see just where the lane lines were, see if they were symmetrical or if they were just at some weird offsets. Because we can only sample at specific offsets through the entire length of, or the length of the alignment that we're interested in. So it's not like we can just wobble the sampling to follow geometry. So just keep that in mind. So 11 feet off on the inside, 39 on the outside lanes. Let's see what else do we have in here. Alignments. Also a data reference. Then, we have an existing and a final profile that we've created in a profile view. So that's the lower half here. What I did is I shut off the existing ground. Let me just show you real quick what that looks like. So that's wobbling up and down. We don't really care about the existing ground, so that's why I shut it off. The design surface here, we're treating that as an as-built, and so that would be just like a completed project. And that's just the center line. So what happens at the offsets? Well, if this is a crowned road, then we should see the traveled way or lane lines on the inside here. They should be just below the center line elevations, considering, you know, crowned road situation. And of course, you'll see some weird things going on where the alignment will hit the median and then jump up a little bit. So that happens like right here. So we're not going to follow that. That would be kind of rough to drive on. So we're going to make something nice and smooth. Alrighty, so let's just shut this off. No display. And we'll get cracking on this thing. So what I'm going to do is go up to the Home tab in the ribbon, and we'll find the Profile set of commands, and we're going to create a surface profile. So when we click on this, then we have one alignment, and we got a couple of surfaces here. So now everybody just seems to blow through this, and they don't pay a whole lot of attention to what's going on. However, this is a very exciting revelation, and I've been using Civil 3D for over 10 years, and just discovered this little button right here. And you've probably discovered it in like 5 days, and it took me 10 years. So here's how it works. I went to the help file and I said, hey, this says offsets with the letter S on there. So do you think I can put in more than one offset here? And the answer is yes. So this is the syntax of it, is we just do left is going to be a minus, right is going to be a positive, and if we wanted to find the outer offsets, then you just keep separating that with commas, and there you go. So the cool thing about that is you highlight the alignment, the surface, and then you whip together all these offsets, and then you click on add. Poof, look at that, they're all there. It has these numbers appended onto that. So that's kind of an ugly situation, but we'll deal with it. Also, you can't edit any of the names here, so wouldn't it be nice if it had final surface so you could differentiate between existing and final? Well, that's not going to happen here. We'll have to do that in the prospector. However, I did want to show you this. When you click on the name and then it sorts these so that you see you've got two lefts right here, then I can highlight both of those things. And this is where you can't do this in any other part of the program, is to set the profile style left and right on more than one object. So that's the exciting part of today, and I'm glad to share that with you. So that saves a few picks and clicks. So now we have the appropriate style set for left and right. And we did it multiple times, so we minimized the amount of effort that it took to get there. You click Okie dokie, and look at that. There's just all kinds of magic that happens here. So if you take a look at that, this is just an information event, so it's not anything disastrous, even though it opens up in the event viewer. Papa Doug likes to clear the events because he's a good housekeeper. I'm kind of a slob, so I'd probably leave that there. Alrighty, now if we take a look at what's going on here, let's just check out the stationing. We've got 702 here, and there's 703 there, 704. Okay, so what's happening is you'll see that this is the inside travel lanes. So this would be lane lines left and right 11. As I hover over that, then you can see that the tooltip tells you what's going on. Now, are they the same elevation all the way across? Well, you can investigate that. If you have selection cycling turned on, then I can highlight the first one here, and that shows blue. And then I highlight the second one, and it shows yellow. So blue, yellow, pretty exciting stuff. So that means that the inner profiles are on top of each other. Now, when you get to the outer profiles at the 39 feet, then you can see they start to look like super elevation profiles. You know, you've got the lane line that whips out there, and then you've got like a constant cross slope right here, 2%, and then it goes into full super, and look at that, it's just fabulous. It goes all the way in through the vertical curve, and then comes out the other end. If I take a look at 714 here, then 714 out here is somewhere close to this intersection. So it looks like the super elevation is still getting back to normal crown right here at the intersection. All right, so but what we want to do is we want to simplify our lives, and we want to first organize the content over here into profiles in the prospector and the tools base. So unfortunately, you can't edit like a whole bunch of stuff here all at once. So like if I left click to my heart's content, my heart is not content because I can't edit anything here. So I actually have to go into the properties and I have to change this, and I want that to be underscore final, just like that, and that's going to be a negative, and then I want to get rid of all this stuff here. Okay, so let me just highlight this, copy to the clipboard with a Control-C, and so you know the drill. Properties, not finale. We'll save that for the end, like fireworks, right? Okay, so you kind of get the idea what's going on, and I know you want Brian to speed up because here we go. Precision mousing at hand. There we go. So that's all cleaned up, and now we see left, right. The 39s, I think we'd like to change the style on those. Can we change the style right here? No. Description, so very inefficient when it comes to profiles. In other parts of the dialog box here, you can actually gang up your edits on the lower part of this, but profiles, they've been kind of left behind. So what I want to do is just shut these off. I should have done this, but you know, we're going sequentially through the operations, so that way it makes sense. Okay, another thing that you may have noticed is that my circles are smaller than your circles. So how did that happen? Well, let's just take a quick look in here. We go to Properties. Here's the object style. If I edit the object style, it's the markers. The markers are what's represented here by the circles. What I did is, this is point of vertical intersection, PVI, and so I just highlighted this style, edit the style, and I just change it. It's 0.05. That's kind of big. I change it to 0.02, and that's a little bit more manageable. So you might want to change that as well. But I wanted to show you where you can find that, just so you have a wonderful experience. All right, let's go back to the mind map. I'm going to save my drawing here because every third command is a save. Did a Control S. You train the dumb hand to do smart things with a Control S. Okay, so let's just go through the existing surface profile at the center line. We set that to no display. We measured the lane offsets inside and out. We went through the sampling of the profile from the surface, and the sample offsets, I got this from the help file. So this is where we put in the multiple offsets, and there's the syntax. And so we went through that, and then I showed you how we can't rename this stuff here, but we got that taken care of. And then also ganging up the edits right there. So just a quick review of setting the style on multiple objects. We found a way to do that. So give a lazy man a job, he's going to find the easiest way to do it, and look who's the lazy guy. Moi. Okay, so then we did some renaming here. We got through that, and then we take a look and we see some super elevation. So there we go. Now we're going to get to the, well, just a little sidebar here. Since I did some measuring, and it looks like there's some odd values out there, what you could do is you could do an offset alignment, and that's not going to be something that would be relevant to this presentation, but if you're moving ahead and doing corridor modeling and you wanted to replicate the super elevation with profiles, then you could do offset alignments out at the 38 feet or 39 feet, whatever the offset is, and assign design profiles there. And that way you're not using the super elevation calculations, you're just mimicking that with profiles that of objects that are already out there. So, you know, if you're doing like milling and resurfacing, you know, maybe it's not going to be ideal, perfect geometry that you would match the standards, and so you just really want to match just the existing conditions out there. So that was just a little aside on that. So now we're going to get into the design profile, and I can start that by opening up this drawing here, or I'll just continue with the one that I have. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new profile, and we're going to use the profile layout tools. We're going to draw some tangents. We're going to do best fit curve, and it's got to be free. So that's great because I don't like to pay for anything. So let's go back to Civil 3D, and it's not going to crash. That was close. But I'd save the drawing too, so that's good. All right, so here's what we want to do, is we want to start off somewhere. All right, so this is the intersecting road up here, and we want to start our profile somewhere where the bullnose is on the turn lane. So right about here. So you can see there's 701, and we go over here, and that's 769. So yeah, I want to start right about there because this is the 11-foot offset. You can see that I've got the tooltip tells me what the name of the surface profile is, and then we're going to trace over that. And the reason why we're tracing over this surface profile is to make it smoother, so it has less little bumps in there from, because a terrain model is just going to get a little bit bumpy. We also want to stick in vertical curves and label those vertical curves. So let's start off by going to the profile commands here. We'll click on the profile creation tools. Okay, and then it asks us to pick a profile view, so we're going to pick on the grid line here. Also, what I did with this profile view is I shut off the minor grid lines on there, so you just got the major grids. Yes, sir, major grids, reporting for duty. And another thing that I also noticed is since we're doing design work here, the naming template should be set up better to use the alignment name. But when I got into the drawing settings, I couldn't really change it, and I couldn't figure out why. So anyway, I'll have to talk to Randy about that. But here's the alignment name, and then I'll put a dash in there and PGL. Okay, and we're just going to use the proposed grade line. That'll be a magenta line work, and that'll contrast well with the blue and the yellow that we're going to be tracing over. We're not going to do any labels right now. We'll hit those labels later. And so when I click on the drop-down list for our commands, I just want to draw the tangents. You click on the tangents, and then we start off with an endpoint here. So you can see that I have my object snap turned on, just set to endpoint, and nothing else. So we click on that because that's all we want to do. Now, if you hover over these endpoints, you can see that magenta crosses right over the blue. So it looks like that's a straight slope. And so I'm going to assume that it's a straight slope right out until I can visually see something bending. And so I'll just keep going here. Oh, that looks like a bend. So if I hover over that and I can see enough of the back geometry there, it looks like this is going to be my PVI. Now, it doesn't have any vertical curve with that, so we're just going to let that be an angle point. Now, we do have a vertical curve here, but let's shut off our object snap and see if I can just eyeball this tangent coming in here. So it's after the this vertical deflection, and then I have a piece of tangent, and somewhere it picks up the curve. And I'm going to just kind of eyeball that and get close to that, but then I also have to consider what's going on coming out of the other end. It looks like it might be a reverse curve. It might have a small piece of tangent there. So let's just kind of, and we're going to edit this later, so I'm just going to eyeball it somewhat like that. And a lot of people out there saying, ooh, he's good. Look at how well he matched that. Well, let's keep going. And we're just going to try to match up a couple of points along here and get out to the PVI. And then we want to look forward and see where we're coming out in another tangent right there. So that's looking like it's a real long distance there. So we're going to have to slide things around. So I'm just going to pick out here, and then I'm going to go over to here, and I'll pick somewhere where I think it might be a tangent. And of course I want to go back to my endpoint object snap. So yeah, clearly I didn't follow the incoming or the outgoing tangent on there. But what I want to do is continue out to another piece of tangent, like right out here. And what I'm going to do is, you can see that it's following all along those little points on the surface profile. So it looks like that's going to be a flat slope. And what I want to do is I just want to take that flat slope, the last segment there, and see if I can just drive that back into the PVI over here. So we're going to use some tools to do that. So here's how it works. I'm going to hit enter to terminate the command of just doing the layout with the geometry. And now what I'd like to do is to figure out some labels on here. So let's just grip on one of the profiles, or that design profile, and I want to go to edit profile labels. This is what I want to do. I just throw a label set in here so that we've got something to work with. And 10 exaggeration is good. We click OK there. And now we can see that we've got the PVI no curves. That's 0.48%, and this is 0.24%. Okay, so what we want to do is just make that 0.24 go all the way back, continue out to here, and then we'll just eliminate this PVI there. But let's just let's go from left to right. So we get this continued right out to here, and that looks okay. We've got a 1.64 here, and it looks like we might be a little bit above all of these geometry points. So if I just click on this as a pass-through point, so I just did a grip and then another endpoint right there, just to kind of looks like there might be a short section of tangent to go through there. So we're going to leave that just the way it is. Now let me show you how we clean up this. There's the 0.46 coming out, and if I wanted to start here and make it 0.24 back to here, well, we can do that with the grid view. So if you go up to your tools here and click on the grid view, now you get to see where the 0.46, now think of this as here's station 1354, so that would be this point right here. And the grade in is looking backwards, okay? And then the grade out, that's looking forward. So if I were to edit this here, what it's going to do is it'll hold this station and this elevation, and then it'll just push the change backwards. So if I edit this value here, make this 0.24, you see how it dropped it down? And so now we get a 0.24 there, but did we maintain? No, we didn't maintain that. That was a 1.6 something. So here's the other thing that we do is, let's say we want to hold this slope. Well, I can use this grip right here, and I can just drag this out. Now I want to shut off my object snap, so I'm going to hit F3. Remember, get the dumb hand to do some work for you. And I'm just going to drag this out to about here. Now you can see that's not the 1.69 that I had before, but it's okay. It's going to work for us, I think. So the 6.6. All right, so we're getting pretty close. And it looks like if I wanted to bring this design down to match these this blue line here, well, then I can just extend this slope, because I know this slope is good, the 1.02%. That's an extension of that tangent there. So if I wanted to drag this out a little bit, then that looks okay. But yeah, we could sit here and tweak it all day, but let's move on. So just wanted to show you, this is the grid view that we can do some editing to manipulate some numbers as well. Now what I'd like to do is to show you some curve commands. And so I'm going to save the drawing, and let's take a look at what we have for curves. Now what we'd like to do is fit a vertical curve in between those two tangents, and what you see is the terminology here: a fixed vertical curve, floating vertical curve, free vertical curve. What does that mean? Fixed just means it's its own island, and you can just throw a vertical curve anywhere you want, and it's not going to be mandated to be tangent to anything else. It's just going to sit there and be its own entity. The trouble with that is, if this geometry is not contiguous, then the labeling is going to stop where the discontinuity is in the geometry. Floating, that's a little bit better. What that does is it allows you to append a curve onto a tangent from the end, so it's only going to anchor on one side of the entity when it's floating. And the other thing is you could have a curve and make a tangent off of a curve. So that's what the floating is used for here, is to set that relationship between a previous curve or tangent to the following of the opposite type curve tangent. But the free vertical curves, what that does is this is like a fillet command. Just allows you to take this incoming tangent, the outgoing tangent. So we're going to use that, but we're going to do a best fit. And best fit means that we get to pick a whole bunch of points on the screen and have that analyzed so that, let's take a look at how this, so select the first entity, that's the prompt on the command line, you pick that, select the next entity, that's the outgoing tangent, and now you get to choose Kogel points, entities, or you can click on the screen. I like to just click on the screen because I'm that kind of a cowboy. And here's what we're going to do, is we're just going to try to mimic as many points as we can here and turn that into a vertical curve. So I'm going to turn on my endpoint object snap, and I'll just start right here. It doesn't have to be right at the beginning or where you think it might be. It's just somewhere in here, and it's just evaluating enough data points. Now you see this red dashed line going through here? That's kind of giving you the interim solution as you keep going. So as you add more data points, it tends to pull it in one direction or the other. So we just, and I'm not real particular about how many I pick. I'm just going to make sure that I get enough to give me some kind of a solution. All right, and even all the way over to here. So when you have all of those points picked, and then you hit enter, then you get this regression table, linear regression. And the important part is the offset from the entity. So it's telling you that this red dashed line is going to be so far away from each one of these pick points that I made. So these are the pick points that I had done. And you can see they're fairly close, you know, only a couple hundreds off in either direction. So I'm not going to get all worked up about that. So it looks like it's good. If you wanted to take out a couple of these because you thought that they might be outside of your risk tolerance, then you can just pick on the exclude here and it'll recalculate the remaining ones. You see how the values update? And that looks okay. I think we'll just go with that. And of course, because there's terrain modeling going on here, you know, it's not always going to be like perfectly smooth vertical geometry. But that's okay. It's because we're dealing with tin triangles. So however dense the triangles are is what you're going to get for a straight line interpolation between points. Alrighty, so if that looks good, then you can click on the Save button and continue to edit. But you're getting a live update on here. Let me just see if I can point out something. If you, yeah, there we go. See, I'm highlighting row number 6, and you can see it leaves a red X right there. So if you wanted to find your way around, then it has that ability to, actually, that might be the discarded point here, the red X. That didn't move around, did it? Okay, well, anyway, you get some kind of an indicator there. And but what you can do is just click on the green check mark to dismiss the vista and accept the vertical curve as a best fit. And as it does that, then you get a label on there, so that looks pretty good. Let's rinse and repeat. Do the same thing with this. And then I come up here, I want a vertical curve. I want that to free vertical best fit, and there we go. So first entity, incoming. Second entity, outgoing. Click on the screen, click okie dokie, and then we'll just pick a bunch of points in here. And this is just to approximate what's going on with the terrain model so that we can come up with a vertical curve. So you click on all those, you hit enter. Here's the regression graph. It's looking okay. Maybe the first one might be outside of our range of expectations, so we click that one off to exclude it, and then the rest of them, they're almost exactly on there. And then we click the check mark. Okay, so then if you take a look at it, you've got a vertical curve, and it's labeled. Well, these labels aren't matching the DOT standards perfectly. Let's investigate. And here's the profile layout tools. That's what we did. We did the tangents, we did the best fit curve, and here's an explanation of fixed, floating, and free. I copied that out of the help file, so all you speed readers out there devouring that. Great. So now let's get into some labels. So in case I crash, then I can open up this drawing here to start the labels, but it looks like we won't need to do that. Let's take a look at this. Crest and sag elevations at an incremental distance. That's a mouthful. And this is what the style looks like when it's defined. It follows the geometry. We don't want that. If you look at the standard says make it level all the way across for those particular labels. So let's take a closer look at that. So that's the fuzzy version of the plans preparation manual. This is something in a higher resolution that I did a screen capture on, so you can see that here's the beginning of the vertical curve. There's the elevations at an increment, and also this PI label. It is on the downward side here. So just think of it this way: it's supposed to look like a tripod, and so if it's on the opposite end, then that's no good. We don't want that. But we can fix that. So let's not jump too far ahead here, and let's just go take a look at some of our labels. Okay, so here's what I can do is I want to change this label style here. And if I grip on it and then go into the edit label group, that's a sag curve. So I want to edit the sag style, and I just go to the editor. Inside of here you get buku components, right? So which one is the right one to edit? Well, Super Sleuth right here found it, VPI text line. Okay, that text line is this little guy right here, and I know you might have to lean into your computer and squint to see it, but this is the thing that we just need to change. And the value was 90. If we change that to 270, looky there. Now, if that's a sag curve, we know that the dimension for the distance is always going to be above, but remember the tripod, that's always going to be below. We've got a separate label style for a crest, so we're not going to use this label style for the crest curves. Click okie dokie there, click on apply. That looks wonderful. Okay, so mission accomplished on that. Now, the other thing is we've got those elevation labels. And so let's take a look at the elevation labels. How are we doing for time? Oh, I guess I'm okay. So I'll take you through the extended version of how to set up these labels, because it's not, let's just do it. Ready? Here we go. So you grip on a label, you go to the edit label group, and the style that you want to use is going to be part of a major station style. And so you have the vertical curve elevation above or elevation below. Let's just throw one in here like this. Okay, and you want this to be incremented like every 20 feet. And then we click on apply, and it's like, hey, there's those labels we were talking about. But they're following the geometry, and we want those to be straight across. Well, this is how it works. We've got one that is going to be above, and then we want one that's going to be below. So let's just do that. Okay, and then the one that's below, we'll just make that 20 also. And click on apply. And notice how they just tend to resort themselves and they're up to the top. So here's what's going on, is it's going the full length of the alignment, but we only want this to appear at the vertical curve label. So we need to take a look at station values, the starting and ending station values of the vertical curves. Let's do this. Since I'm a lazy guy, you know, I could look at these things and just write it down, but I'm just going to go to a curve report here. So profile, station and curve report, right click, execute, and that's my PGL, create the report. There we go. So there's the point of vertical curve, point of tangency. So those two station values, that's what I want to get for the first curve. I'm going to Control C, and then I've got my little notepad out here. I go to great lengths to avoid work. So there's the tangent, precision mousing. And now I want to go to the next curve. So let's find the next curve. And we got this, and hopefully you haven't fallen asleep yet. But if you have, then you know, it's good. You feel refreshed after it's all done. There we go. So beginning and ending of the vertical curve labels. And what I want to do is just incorporate these into the group. So we minimize that. We're all done with the report. And we've cheated as much as we can. Now we're going to go back to Edit Label Group. So I had to highlight the label to get the ribbon to respond. Edit the label group, and now we've got major this, major that. The first one is above. So above is going to be here, the first curve. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is just clear these, and let me go back to my text file. Find the text file. Grab a value. I guess if I already had a value in my clipboard, I could have just thrown that in the last one and worked backwards. Hindsight is 20/20. You can use that at the beach too, hindsight, but that's a different story. Okay, so let's go over here, and we get our range of stations in here. Fascinating, isn't it? You're just sitting on the edge of your seat. Apply, and then OK. Alrighty, so what happened is we get the correct range in there, pretty much. You know, we might have to make a few adjustments here and there, but it's still following the curvature of the Earth, and we don't want that. We want Christopher Columbus say the world is flat. So the way we do that is we change the anchor point. Let's do the graph view top for these guys here, and then click on apply, and it's like, oh, where did they go? Well, let's just go take a look. They're way up there, graph view top. So if we're going to do graph view top, then we got to do some negative numbers to drive it down here. So what do you say? These are probably about an inch. So if we were to drop this an inch, they would show up here. If we dropped it 2 inches, they would show up right about here. So let's do a -2 on that. Okay, 1.5 to -2. And then we'll see where we get from there. Apply. And see, that's a nice thing about that is you can, of course I failed, and let's do a -0.5. So when you're only one dialog box away from the drawing, then that allows you to interact with the drawing. Look at that, it's perfect. Take a bow, Brian. Thank you very much. We still got a little bit of noise right there. And so just think of these as an increment of every 20 feet. So if this elevation above starts at 20, you might want to just have that go to 40 and see what that looks like. Apply. Okay, so that eliminated that one there. That's good. We'll have to do the same thing here. That's at 80. Let's just make it 90 or 91. See what happens with that. Okay, pushed it over. You saw it move, right? Right there, that little guy. You gotta stay on your toes. All right, let's just go up to the next one, which is going to be 100, and then all these will be zeros. All right, that looks good there. So now what we want to do is, oh yeah, so we wanted this to appear on the opposite side, right? So I guess we can flip that label. You can go into the label style and change that label style so that it is drawn below the curve. But let's just see if we can flip the label and make that fit. So let me get out of here, hit escape, grab the label, flip the label, didn't flip the whole thing. Alrighty, well, I think I solved that in another method. So I'm going to cheat just for a minute here. Save the drawing. I had whipped together some profiles in another drawing. So I guess I don't remember what I did with this thing. I thought I could just flip the label, but here's the secret sauce. What I can do is, since I resolved everything in this drawing ahead of time, I want to bring that over to this drawing here. So I go to the Settings tab, I change it to Master View, and I want the destination drawing to be on top in bold letters. That's the current drawing. I want to borrow some styles from this file here, and this is Profile, and I want to do labels, and I want it to be a label set, and here's Brian's secret sauce. Drag it right into this drawing here. Boom. Okay, so now what I can do is I'll come in here, edit the label group, and then let's just hit this with several taps of our hammer. We'll import a label set that is Brian's profile label set. Boom. So you can see that I'm probably going to set up these station ranges and edit the anchor points here. However, click on Apply, click OK. So what I did is I fixed that label so that it's below. I think I just had to do some offsets or something like that to get that correct. But you know, here's the label style heading below there. Remember the tripod, and then the tripod, that looks good here. So we're just going to fix these things. So that's a redundant edit. You saw it before, and so let's just do it again. So we grab our label style, edit the label group, and I got both of these going above. I guess what I could do is just have one below. Alrighty, and then the above has to go with this one here, and then below is here. Remember, this is still on the clipboard. Cheat, cheat. Just work my way backwards. I just saved you some trauma. Apply. Oh, invalid input. Okay. Group. I need to edit the label group. There we go. Okay, so we got that range there, and then you know the drill. All right, so I won't bore you with those details. What about this particular style? I guess I got enough time to tell you about that. Since this is part of a crest curve, then we need to investigate the crest curve style. So there's crest curve, there it is. Click it, edit that, and it shows you that it's above. So what's going on with that? Let's see if we can determine what we did with that. The dimension line, length. Actually, I don't remember what I did with that. So we'll just have to leave that as follow-up information. So there's distance below, there's distance above. I think maybe that's what I did, is I just changed it to distance below and kept it at the same 1.5. You know, because that's below, that's above, that's below. So that's probably what I did. We don't have the other one to compare it to. So because we replaced it with Brian's secret sauce. Alrighty, and that's all I wanted to show you today was so how you could convert this or make it conform to the CAD standards here. So we got the labels appearing horizontally. You've got the distance labels above on a crest curve or below on a crest curve and above on a sag curve. And basically you're just changing those elevation labels to a different anchor point on the graph view, and then you just tinker with the offsets until the offsets are going to give you the positioning that you're looking for. And then let's see what we got for finished labels. So we did the distance. Oh yeah, that's the one where I changed the length. And then this is where I rotated to get the tripod to appear below. Just reviewing everything. The finished labels, they look like that. That's marvelous. And then that is it. End the walkthrough. Reposition. We have completed our show.